Good evening, everyone. Friday rolls around once again. In some ways, it always seems to take ages, and then sometimes it just feels like you blink and it's here again. Cheers, everyone. That is a nice beer. In case anybody's interested, festivities this evening are brought to you courtesy of Jeremy Clarkson, Hawkstone Lager. Yes, who knew? Clarkson has his own beer. It's really rather nice, regardless of whether, I know he's a bit of a kind of divisive figure, but he does make nice lager. Anyway, we're all here again. The sun is kind of shining. It's nice to be doing these live streams again in daylight as opposed to the dark winter months. But Friday is Friday and it's beer o'clock, whether it's light or dark. Let's have a look and see who's in the chat. Who was first in? We've got Johnny H. Wishing us a happy Easter. You were soon off the mark, mate. I only set the live stream about 3 o'clock and you were in at 4 minutes past. Then we've got Mark Kerno and Robsterboy. Lots of Easter wishes here. Robert Z, beer, nature's candy, indeed, mate. Then we've got Peter Nicholson, Edwin Toonan. Edwin's in the pub tonight. Good for you, mate. Then Dr. Gomez 1, Sean House, and Terry Day is in. Then we've got Rent to Kill, Amadeus, Chris Ottewell, PFY Guitars, James Hunt, Peter Collins, Ian Clark, and who else? We've got Gordo Canuck and Vincent Brennan. And who else we got? We got John Ross. And scrolling down, I see there's Johnny Random, a regular round these parts. Said he's running late. Must because you've had a day off and lost track of time. It happens, mate, apparently. When did I have last have a day off? It's been a while. Then there's Reeled in 58. And who else we got? We got Robert Bald. And scrolling down, Kieran Roberts, nice to see you, mate. Grandpa Joe is in. And who else we got? We've got, scrolling down, Paul Trainer, the resident bass player. Terry S. Let's put you up on screen, mate. Howdy, here in Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada, with a 12-pack of Sleemans ready to go. It is about 8:40 a.m. here. Morning beers. Yes, indeed. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, mate. Then we've got David Evans. Let's put you up on screen, mate. Just want to let you know that my dad is in a very bad way and we've been told he has a matter of weeks left. Glad to be here as I'm trying to stay sane with it all. Well, it is a rotten, nasty, unfortunate fact of life, isn't it? I mean, I lost my dad Christmas Day, 1989. It's Christmas Eve, 1989. And it's just part and parcel of, reaching that certain point in your life, isn't it, really, where, you have to say goodbye. I'm sure you will cope with it, mate. You're a strong chap and you have the fortitude to get through this. So just if we can be of any light relief here on Friday, just to give you a little bit of distance from it, then that I consider that mission accomplished. Then scrolling down the chat, we've got Robert Gallagher and Rexomatic, and Farjon is in as well. And scrolling further down, anybody I've missed yet? I don't think so. It's just there's Frank Bolam and Cal B and the Rocco Cat and Malcolm Spillett all dropping in round about the same sort of time. Terry S is there. I think I've said you already, haven't I? But there's Theme Tunes. And who else have we got? Let's scroll down. We have got Craig Stamen is in. Nice to see you, Craig. Robert Galbraith is there, and there's Chip Young, and who else we got? We've got Ben Allmark is in. Nice to see you, mate. Michael Palmer from your sickbed. I hope it's nothing serious, mate, and I hope you're managing to have a libation with us this evening. Yes, just if it's a sniffle or anything like that, Get yourself a good strong whiskey. And then who else we've got? Jimmy James is in, and so is William Forrest. And Dr. Gomez, what you saying there, mate? Just building a guitar that I'm going to relic. John will not be pleased. As long as you don't relic any of mine, mate, I don't really care. It doesn't compute with me, I'm afraid. Relic guitars. There's the Essex Cat and Jay Aoyong, and who else? We've got Russell Gibson and Steve Cassidy guitar is there. So's Charlie B and Peter S and David James. Then we got Stuart Young. And Nancy Davis is there. So's Pablo Hank, John Channing, GRB Aquatics, Amadeus, Ian Mason, Charlie B. Thomas Mulvaney is in. So's Sam Milverton and David Cairns and Cool Cat. There's Colin Falcon. I wondered where you were, mate. Brad Dowell, Colin Cross, and Geronimo is in. How are you, mate? Not seen you in a while. Dudley Squat is there. And funny you should say that, Craig. We've got some Madry in the fridge. Yes, indeed. I'll be sampling it later, no doubt. Gary Shaw is there, and Cylon Hybrid, and anybody else that I've missed. We're getting down to the bottom of the chat now, and I think that's about it. Avon Gaunt, I think, is the only one I've missed there, but I haven't now. So there you are, chaps. Cheers, everyone. I need a little bit of lubrication after that mammoth kind of spiel there. Anyway, I just want to mention that the get-together is definitely getting together in, I'm thinking, September or October. I mentioned this last week. So I put out a call last Friday to say if there's anybody who wants to come and any dates that there aren't available, let me know so we can kind of avoid those dates. And so far I've had I think just the one email from a gentleman who said that avoid this date. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to make all the arrangements. Well, what arrangements need making? Basically, just circling a date on the calendar and booking a table at the Curry House, and we will make it happen for, as I say, September-ish. Haven't quite decided yet. But again, if you're interested in coming here up here to Redcar for a night on the beer, I will be putting some money behind the bar, so there'll be at least one round of drinks on me. Hopefully, it depends how many people turn up, doesn't it? But, I can't offer you accommodation, I'm afraid, because this is a very small house. But as I've said, Redcar is a town with a multitude, a plethora, a surplus of very affordable bed and breakfast accommodation. Let's face it, you just need somewhere to crash for the evening, don't you? And we'll be drinking beer. And we'll be eating curry. What is not to like about that? And that's going to be happening in September. So once again, if you're interested in coming and there's any dates you can't make around about that time of year, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of get the dates circled on the calendar, and we will make it happen. So that is that little announcement out of the way. Kind of usually around about this time of the evening, I tell you what's coming up on the channel. In the coming few days. So let's get that out of the way. All the formalities, all the housekeeping, basically. No Saturday video as usual this week. Those are for like special occasions and when I've got like a load of stuff to get through that is sort of time sensitive. So next video on the channel will be Sunday, and it is going to be that rather wonderful Corsair Telecaster style guitar that you possibly saw me doing a little bit of work on yesterday, swapping the pickups and sorting the intonation and all manner of good stuff like that. Well, it's the full-on kind of rerun of that guitar. You probably saw the original demo I did of it last week on last Sunday, basically, where I kind of did it with the I wouldn't say stock pickups and bridge, but as it came to me from Edwin, the basically as I got it out the box, that full kind of workup of that guitar. Well, now it's the modded version coming up on Sunday. Then on Monday, a solo analysis, as is always the case. And it's Slash's turn to get put under the spotlight on Monday. We're doing one of my favourite Guns N' Roses tunes, actually. From, I can't remember which one it was from, but it's from one of the Use Your Illusion albums, you know, because it was like, has any other band ever done that, rather than if releasing a double album, releasing two albums at the same time? You know, I think that those Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 albums were possibly unique in that regard. I'm just going to get a little bit more light on me here. Excuse me. There we go. That's not looking quite so dingy. But yeah, we're doing the solo from Civil War, and a little kind of disclaimer on this one. I'm pretty certain it's about 99% right, what I've got of that solo. It's certainly good enough for government work or good enough for a tribute band performance. But there were just one or two little bits that the guitar was just kind of, you know, certainly in the lower registers, it was a little bit kind of down in the mix, and there were two or three possibilities that he could have been playing, and it was like, well, okay, I'm just going to go with that. But it is, as I say, an analysis of the Civil War solo by a wonderful Mr. Saul Hudson, better known as Slash, Stoke-on-Trent's finest. Then Tuesday, we are continuing the theme that I've been going through, you know, in the past few top 5 Tuesdays, where I'm looking at my favourite genre, my favourite albums from a particular genre of rock from the 70s. And yeah, there's probably going to be a few albums on this list that I've been told I should have included in other lists, because we're talking about Southern rock on Tuesday, you know, all of those great bands, the Lynyrd Skynyrd's and all of those kind of guys, you know, and there's possibly one or two surprises on that list as well, that you might not think of as being, you know, of that genre, but I certainly do. And as I say on all of these videos, they are just my personal take on these things. These lists are, you know, my favorite albums of a particular genre. So that's what we're doing. Then on Wednesday, it's a viewer's question again. So don't forget, if you have any questions of a guitar or music related nature, give me a shout. jrguitartuition@gmail.com, or you can use the contact form on my website, johnrobsonmusic.co.uk, or you can just leave a comment underneath any of my videos. Don't put it in the chat, because chances are I'll miss it because I'm too busy blethering on. As I keep saying, I'm not Rick Beato. I don't have a whole army of Santa's little helpers keeping an eye on the chat for me and flagging things up. It's I'm flying solo here. Yeah, but viewers' question on Wednesday was one that I get surprisingly often, actually, from students and from viewers. So I just picked this one to go with. It's how to play in a major pentatonic. It really does stymie some people, and of course, because it's a lesson and theory related video, it'll get, you know, kind of the square root of bugger all views. But you know, it's I enjoy making these kind of tuition type videos, and you know, it just gets more content out there for the Patreon supporters as well, which I'm very grateful for. So I do like to put at least 3 tabs up a week for the Patreon people, because you know, you're keeping me in beer. Oh, Paul Trainer, you are a gentleman, sir. Thank you. Steve Cassidy guitar is saying, what conditioner do you use? Well, yeah, enough said. So that's Wednesday's video. Then, courtesy of Mr. Edwin, who's in the chat there, Thursday's video is a review, or a little bit of a kind of a look at this pedal that he very, very generously sent me. It's a Joyo Batsin pedal, which is basically 8 different drive pedals in one. You've got what you got on here. You've got a T808 Tube Screamer. You've got a really kind of nice transparent boost there. You've got, I think it's a Boss OD1 kind of thing. You've got a Sir Riot pedal clone in here. You've got like, it's called Crunchy. And from memory, I think that is sort of like a Marshall in a box kind of tone. It's a great little pedal, and it is the only reason it is isn't on my pedal board is because my pedal board's too small. I'm gonna have to. That's something else that's going to be a series of videos coming up. Getting everything that needs to be on my pedal board, including the rather wonderful blue guitar amp one there. It is supposed to be a pedal board amp, and it's kind of on the desk at the moment. It gets in the way, so a new pedal board build will be coming at some point in the coming videos. Excuse me, I just need to top my glass up. I mean, I should be getting paid here, shouldn't I be, by Mr. Clarkson? But really good, nice beer. Anyway, Henry William loved the mixing video with the mighty Hoggy. Yes, there's more collaborations afoot with Mr. Hoggett. You know, he's well, I was speaking to him yesterday on the phone, and yeah, there's more stuff that we're going to be doing, and I'll not reveal too much at the moment because some of it's going to be going out on his channel, so I don't want to be 27D Productions, by the way. 27 Delta 27D Productions, if you're interested in going following Steve. He doesn't put videos out that often, but when he does, they are worth watching. So, you know, if you're into recording or just finding out about you know, just the whole production and recording process, it's well worth checking out. So some of the content we're going to be doing will be going across both channels, so I don't want to give too much away yet. I see we've got Jamie Neeson. How are you, mate? And there's Nancy Davis as well. And Henry Williams saying he does our sound when we playing Teesside. Well, yes, he knows his way around a desk, does Mr. Hoggett. I've got to tell you, if you learned anything from Steve's mixing video, I can tell you I learned loads from it, and it was, to be honest with you, to be quite selfish. It was one of the reasons why I asked him to kind of do that collaboration with me, because I thought I want to learn something, you know, and you know, especially the way he was using kind of compression and limiting on the drums. You may notice that some of my mixes are starting to possibly sound a little bit better as a result of you know, kind of pouring over Steve's kind of workflow and process in that video. So let's see what else. So John Hoggett needs a translator for that thick accent, but really need to see a pro working. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say he's even got an accent, but then again, he's from the same part of the world as me, so you never hear it, do you? Would you consider Green Day releasing 3 albums, 1 a month for 3 months, as the same as your Use Your Illusions 1 and 2? Possibly. I didn't know they'd done that, but then again, I mean, I don't dislike Green Day. In fact, I would go so far as to say that I quite like them. I've got like a rock playlist that I listen to on Spotify, and there's Basket Cases on there. You know, I mean, that's 30 years old nearly, that song now, isn't it? And you know, but what I'm trying to say is I haven't followed their career and been kind of you know, kept abreast of what they've done. But I don't think any. I mean, that's you talking about albums, you know, sequentially a month apart. I don't think any band has ever done, like, rather than releasing a double album, releasing 2 albums. It was obvious why they did it, wasn't it? You know, because usually a double album costs about 1.5 times the price of a single album. You know, but 2 albums costs twice the price of a single album, and you know, so it was possibly even a record company kind of thing. It's difficult to remember for people who weren't around 30 years ago when those albums came out, but you tend to think of the early 90s as being the grunge era, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, you know, all of that kind of Seattle kind of thing. With Pearl Jam from Seattle, I think they were. But you know what I mean? That sort of, that whole kind of thing. But when Guns N' Roses came out with, you know, the Use Your Illusion stuff, I don't think it's inaccurate to say that they were, if not the biggest band in the world, bigger than any of the grunge boys, but they were certainly up there with them, equaling them. And, you know, and the other thing that people always forget from the early 90s is there was a big blues explosion back then. I mean, yeah, obviously Gary did still got the blues, but, you know, there were, I mean, Pat Benatar did a blues album. Jeff Healey was kind of riding a big wave of popularity then, you know, for his kind of blues sort of stuff. And, you know, I tend to think of the early 90s as being more of a kind of back to basics sort of era of music when, yeah, grunge came along, but a lot of rock bands were kind of getting their haircut and getting rid of the Max Factor and getting rid of the L'Oreal and you know, and kind of starting to wear ripped jeans and leather jackets again after, you know, spending the last 5-6 years in spandex. It just kind of, it brought it all back to a more kind of gritty, earthy level for a lot of bands anyway. That's just my, I mean, your mileage may vary. That's just my kind of recollection, which is 30 years ago. And there's been a fair amount of that since then. So who knows? I don't know. You know, not for the first time. It looks like I'm getting proven wrong here. Springsteen put Human Touch and another one out on the same day. I didn't know that. Soundgarden, yes, GRB Aquatics. That was a band who I was trying to reel off there that I couldn't kind of think of. Let's have another look in the chat, see what we've have a look. Oh, Jeff Rock. I've become an accidental owner of a Blue Guitar Amp 1 Mercury yesterday, not even plugged it in yet. I've been cramming the demo instruction videos all day, mate. The great thing about the Blue Guitar Amp 1 is that I don't think you can get a bad sound out of it. You know, it's just all I do nowadays, and there's a video coming up on this, and I can't remember when it is because I'm about 6 weeks ahead in advance with me videos at the moment because I've been beavering away like a busy boy. But I have got a video coming up where I'm talking about, you know, the how I'm using the Blue Guitar Amp. Now, I basically use one channel on it. If you go to the vintage channel, which is like the sort of plexi kind of tone, and just use your guitar's volume to clean it up, then crank it up for a big crunchy sound, and then I'm throwing the new Ex-Horseman pedal in front of it for the solos. And I can honestly say I've never been happier with the guitar tone that I've got. I thought that when I got the Marshall DSL-1, love that amp, and it will get fixed at some point because obviously I got to do a shootout between the Blue Guitar Amp and the Marshall, haven't I? You know, but the Blue Guitar Amp 1 Mercury is just incredible, and it's just the recording output on it. If I have one criticism of it, one tiny little criticism, is that I would prefer the recording output to be XLR rather than quarter-inch jack. But you know, I mean, that is me just finding something to be picky about, really, isn't it? Floodland is Floodland 9999 is saying, did you ever prefer a parts caster to your other guitars? Yes, I did. I had a fantastic parts caster. I bought it as a Mexican HSS Strat, and basically just kept the body. The pickups got replaced. The neck got replaced, the tuners, everything got replaced. And do you remember when Axes R Us, for those of us in the UK, fantastic little website that sell all manner of great stuff. They used to do loaded pick guards, for a very, very reasonable price. And I bought a HSS pickguard with Wilkinson pickups in it and dropped that in. And that was a beast of a guitar. And at the time, I think, what other guitars did I have? I think I still had, I might have still had the PRS back then, like my old PRS, not the one I've got now. And it was the parts caster every time. And I wouldn't care. It was just all cheap stuff that I bought. I mean, the loaded pickguard was, I think, about 40 quid. And the neck was just like a generic strap neck that I bought on eBay. And I even bought the Fender transfer to put on it. And it looked the business, this guitar, and sounded fantastic as well. Oh, that's interesting, Craig. The blue guitar amps are fantastic. I use the vintage for my lead tone and the modern setting for my rhythm. I would have thought that would have been the other way around because the modern is... but you've got the Iridium, haven't you? The Iridium one. Mine's the Mercury. And well, I've used your I did the review on it when you loaned me it, Craig. Yeah, the modern is a sound that... It's a sound I like to play when I'm just kind of noodling around and fooling around, you know, pretending that I'm, you know, I guess, I don't know, Steve Lukather or somebody like that. I've often been compared to Steve Lukather. Quite often people say, you're not as good as Steve Lukather. But yeah, it's just a little bit... I tend to find that my way of playing on that kind of high again, kind of soldano boogie kind of tone is it just doesn't sit in a mix as well. Maybe that says a lot about my mixing, but I just think that the way that I play, it's, you know, I've played through Marshalls and Marshall type tones for long enough now that the way I play tends to suit it, I think. Oh, so you've got Peter Shields in. Deco Dude is saying, John, you like the Kent Armstrong pickups? I can't honestly think that I've ever used Kent Armstrong pickups. I'm not sure that maybe I have, but maybe in a video years ago that I've forgotten about because, you know, I'm doing 5 videos and a live stream every week, and I've been doing for some years now. Maybe years ago I had something with Kent Armstrong pickups in and said they were fantastic, but I don't recall. God O'Connor, John, you like me, use self-deprecation as my form of humour. I'm just not very good at it. It's just a British thing. You know, this is what we like to do in the UK. We like to kind of, you know, kind of take the mickey out of ourselves. And it's a useful thing on YouTube because it gives the trolls nowhere to go. You know, I remember somebody once years ago in the comment section of a video said, came out with some kind of, you know, kind of needlessly insulting kind of comment. And I just thought, okay, so I went back and insulted myself even further. And it gives them nowhere to go. So I like to get my defense in first, basically. Henry William had my dream guitar built for me, an SG with a flying V neck. That's kind of the opposite of an Albert King guitar, isn't it? Because certainly videos and footage I've seen of Albert King, he would use a flying V, but it would have like a regular Gibson, you know, like kind of not like the kind of arrowhead headstock that that you find on a flying V. That would be something I've seen him with more than once, I think. Let's have a look. Peter Shields saying, I had a Kent Armstrong mini humbucker in my Eastman guitar. It was okay, but now it's special in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're going to find... that is something... I mean, excuse me, I just need to top up. Yeah, I'm just trying to think if I ever have used Kent Armstrong pickups. I certainly haven't got an enduring opinion on them, put it that way. So if I have used them, they haven't made a lasting impression on me. Let's have a look, see what else we've got in the chat. Johnny Random's got Telly Bridge hot rails type pickup, doing nothing at the moment. Get it into a Telecaster, mate. Ian Clark, you're saying, have you kidnapped Kermit in that bag behind you? I see what you mean. No, that is, as you can see, the sofa bed is folded down because we've got friends staying at the moment, and that is it does look like Kermit looking out from behind yeah, indeed. No. Anyway, where are we? Those bottles go down quicker than cans. Yes, if I have one criticism, Mr. Clarkson, if you're watching, it's that your Hawkstone beer needs to come in bigger bottles, or preferably in a regular kind of 400 or 440ml can. These 330ml bottles are, you know, they're not man-sized bottles, are they? It looks like a baby Yoda. I'm going to move it out of the way if it's distracting. There, it's gone. So where are we? Floodland 99.99. Starting to think the pickup placement is more important than the pickup itself. Like a strap neck pickup is more about its location. Yep. I would definitely agree with that. You know, you're never going to make a bridge pickup on a guitar sound like a neck pickup on a guitar. I mean, that is just self-evident. I know Glenn Fricker has been on a bit of a kick about, you know, the pickups make no difference to the sound. You know, it's all about the speaker. And I can kind of see that, you know, with the sort of gain, high gain metal stuff that he plays. But years ago, I did a video where I had a Harley Benton HB35, not the HB35 Plus, just the 35, and that came with ceramic magnets, which I've still got here. Not the pickups, I've still got the magnets that came out the pickups. And if you know anything about kind of modern guitars, you will know that swapping the pickups out on a 335 style guitar is just, well, it's a job that I just refuse to do, because it's, you know, it's like doing keyhole surgery with boxing gloves on. So I thought, well, it's easier just to lift the pickups out, leave them still connected, and swap the magnets out. And I did, and I took the ceramic magnets out that you've just seen there and replaced them with Alnico 2 magnets. And it made for a kind of edge of breakup kind of tone, for that kind of not quite clean, not quite dirty kind of tone. It made a night and day difference to the sound. There was just it wasn't quite as woolly in the mid-range. It had more clarity and more kind of, it just sounded fuller and richer. You know, whether that would be backed up by, you know, a spectral analysis of it or whatever, I couldn't tell you. But all I can tell you is I perceived a difference, and, you know, listening to the same piece of music back then that I did back to back with both, like before the magnet swap and after, it definitely made a difference. So I think the higher the gain you go, the less difference pickups make. Humbucker single coil, obviously that's going to be a difference, but, you know, for the kind of lower gain stuff which is the territory I tend to inhabit, you know, it's I think it does make more of a difference. And I think I kind of like that, because it means that, you know, you're getting more difference between different guitars. I mean, I've just been working on a piece of music today, actually, that is a comparison piece between two single cut guitars, one of which is my Les Paul that you've seen many times, and another one is, I gave a little bit of a teaser about in the community tab a couple of weeks ago. Yes, there is another Les Paul style guitar in the building, and so I'm obviously kind of comparison between the two. And for that sort of, through like a Marshall Plexi kind of tone, the sort of thing that I dial in on the Blue guitar amp, it is a massive, massive difference between the Gibson and this other guitar that I've got here, which anyway. Mark Kerno is saying, having heard you talk positively about your Gibson Les Paul tribute on a number of occasions, I picked up a 2016 Faded Cherry Studio recently. Fantastic guitar. Really don't feel I need to spend extra. I'll be honest with you, mate. If he's watching this, he's probably going to be a little bit annoyed, but I've borrowed a Les Paul standard. Well, a couple of different Les Paul standards from a couple of different people that I know. And the last one was a bit of an iconic one, really, because it was a guitar that used to be owned by Marty Friedman. So, the Les Paul standard, it is sort of, your benchmark for the guitar that you want, or the one that you're supposed to want. And I honestly prefer my studio. My tribute. I just prefer the feel of it. It's not cosmetically perfect. But it's a Gibson. You price that kind of thing in. If you want a cosmetically perfect guitar, that's not the brand you go to. They're just, you accept that there's going to be the odd little kind of blemish in the finish and stuff like that, because that's sort of what comes along with the territory. And, that said, people pay good money to have, extra blemishes and kind of flaws and kind of wear and stuff added in, don't they? But just in terms of the feel and the sound of it, as I've said many times, it's taken me 30 years to find a single cut guitar that I really connected with, and that is the one. And it's never leaving the house. Let's have a look, see what else has been going on. Dr. Gomez, how's Dougal doing now? Has he come to terms with his missing plums? I don't think he's noticed yet. It's been just over a week since the fateful day when he lost his manhood, as it were, and he's not remotely bothered. The hardest part was, because he's a really, really energetic dog, was stopping him from jumping all over the place and going absolutely crazy, and kind of opening the gaping ugly wound, as it were. But we managed. The vets had a look at how he's healing, and they're very happy with it. And he doesn't seem to care, to be honest. He's just as mental as he was beforehand. But he's gradually growing up a little bit, it has to be said. He's gradually starting to be that little bit less full on. I mean, he still does the full on thing, but rather than that being his default kind of setting, now he has two speeds. One is kind of sleeping and flatulating as well. Dear me, he can clear a room. And then he does the kind of whole kind of wall of death thing around the living room, but you just kind of let him get on with it. Yes. Farjohn says, I'd certainly notice. Well, it's you give him pigs in blankets, and he doesn't really care. He'll and he's spent a large part of today asleep in his little house, his little crate that he just kind of goes in there and curls up and sleeps, and as I say, breaks wind in a silent way. Paul Coleman is saying, a slide course. Yay. I've got a slide course, mate. Have I missed the context there? But I do have a slide course up on Udemy and on ultimateguitar.com as well, who are now distributing my courses. Thank you very much. Jack Collins is saying, I got a birthday present in the mail today, a Gator case. Oh, well, good for you. I don't think I've ever had a Gator case. To be honest with you, since I stopped gigging, which is, gosh, 10 years ago now, no plans to kind of go and scratch that itch again. I'm not saying never, but I am saying not at the moment, or until it would have to be something special to get me out the door again and on my hind legs in front of an audience. But since I stopped gigging, I'm less kind of, because the guitar, I don't have to take the guitars anywhere. They just kind of sit in this room. I've got like the workbench over here. The bottom kind of shelf of it is stacked up with gig bags and cases and stuff. And I just, it's like I never use them. So, John, Dougal may not really get on with wheat in his diet. It may be making him quite whiffy. I can't remember what we've got him on. We've got him on Harrington's, I think, at the moment, which is, it's supposedly kind of, hypoallergenic and stuff like that. Peter Shields, what you're saying, mate? I'm like you, John. I just buy padded gig bags these days, which are more like overcoats for my guitars, really. Yeah, it's. I mean, I've got a Blondie came with a case. Kind of. Oh, we haven't done the obligatory Blondie shot, have we? Blondie is fixed, by the way. She's starting to appear in more videos. I'm always a little bit miffed that top never comes across quite as well in videos as it looks on the live stream when we kind of do this. Look at the movement in that. That is absolutely gorgeous. Fantastic guitar. Go out and buy one. Get in touch with Dan. Tell him you want one, because you really do. Having guitars displayed hanging on walls, do you find strings need replacing more often? Not really, no. This room here does suffer from a bit of damp, it has to be said. But damp gets anywhere. So, unless you have like a hermetically sealed case, the damp is going to get into it. But I've got, I have like, those, I don't know if you've seen them, those little dehumidifier kind of things, those disposable things with little pellets in that soak up all of the moisture. I've got a bunch of those kind of strategically placed around the room to to kind of try and keep it under control. It's just, we live in the northeast of England, and I'm about possibly a couple of 100 yards from the North Sea, and the howling winds and gales come in from there. And this is an old house, and it has a single skin brick wall. No cavity insulation in this house because there's no cavity there to insulate. It's what builders call a 9-inch wall, because it's just 9 inches of brick between me and the outside world. So that said, the environment and the kind of construction of the house means that you're just going to get damp in here, and that is an end of it. So you just kind of deal with it as best you can. About once a year, I do have to kind of take some time out and just get some and deal with frankly the mold that grows in here from time to time. You can see there's you can't see. But that corner down there, it's going to need a little bit of treatment soon. But it's been, gosh, about 8 or 9 months since I've done it. Nancy Davis, where's Blondie? You've just seen Blondie. I've just held her up, mate. A bowl of baking soda will cheaply remove moisture from the air. A bowl of baking soda would also end up inside Dougal if it was left in the open air. So the great thing with these dehumidifiers is that they are sealed, and you know, they can't become doggy snacks. Not that he wouldn't try. Terry S is saying Harley Benton 25th. How about them, John? Yeah, I am thinking about one. I have had a little bit of extra expenditure to deal with this month because I've had to buy a new camera, and that's thick end of 400 quid. You know, because as I mentioned last week, my new phone, which is, I used to film all of the kind of guitar soloing sort of stuff on my phone, and on paper my new phone has exactly the same specification camera that my old one does. But there's going to be a couple of videos coming up where the quality of video when you're watching the guitar soloing is going to be not quite as good as I hoped. So I've had to buy a new camera. It's not here yet, and that's about 400 quid. That would have been going on one of the Harley Benton 25th anniversary guitars. The one thing that has absolutely flummoxed me, and can anybody else kind of shed some light on this, is that Harley Benton are celebrating their 25th anniversary. So in their infinite wisdom, they decided to celebrate their silver anniversary by releasing a range of guitars in a metallic finish. Silver, you would have thought. No, let's go for gold. Let's go for metallic gold finishes for our 25th silver anniversary. Am I the only person that is just kind of, my initial reaction was, well, what is going on here? You know, I don't get it. John Mack is saying, what's the new phone? It's a Sony Xperia something or other. I don't know. Nancy Davis went for a comfort break. That's why you missed Blondie. There you go, Nancy. There's Blondie. Look at that top. Every time I see the Harley Benton Fusion that has a very similar look to that, I keep thinking I should really get one, shouldn't I, and do a shootout. But again, you know, it's like, how many Harley Benton guitars do I need? Well, I've not got that many at the moment. What have I got Harley Benton wise? I've got 2 acoustics. I think that's it for Harley Benton at the moment. Oh, and I've got the CST 24P90, which I haven't played in a while, but that is a lovely, lovely guitar. Dr. Gomez, you may have a point there, mate. Metallic silver looks crap. Metallic gold will certainly sell more. Fair enough. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, somebody asked me in one of the comments, in a comment under one of the videos, if I'm going to do anything with the Harley Benton 25th anniversary guitars, and my reply was, it's probably inevitable. You know, I find myself on the website all the time, just kind of looking, thinking, well, you know, just leave it a month or two until until I've recouped the costs of the camera a little bit. But yeah, it's going to happen. I wouldn't bet the farm against it, put it that way. Anyway, excuse me, it's time to top up the glass. Let's see if what sort of head we can get on this. I've been letting you down the past few weeks in terms of the flakiness of me beer pouring, haven't I? But oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. We've got a decent head on that. Not quite a flake, but there we go. That'll do. John Max saying, I remember to avoid that if the camera's done. Yeah, I'll tell you what it is. It's a Sony Xperia 10 Mark IV, the one I've got at the moment, and my previous one was a Mark II. And the front-facing camera on the Mark II, the selfie camera, I guess. Oh, I see. I've got a super chat there. Let's have a look at that. Can a decent player learn to fake a jazz solo over 2-5-1 chord progression in a few weeks? Yes. Yes, basically, is the short answer. All you got to do to fake any kind of jazz solo, really speaking, is think chromatically. Know where your chord tones are, so be aware of what chords you're playing over, and be aware of the chord changes. And if you're aware of that, and you can look at the neck of your guitar and just visualize the chord shapes, even if you don't know the names of the notes, just visualize the chord shapes of the chords you're playing over and make little chromatic runs that connect a note in this chord to the note in the next chord, and so on and so on. And that is, it's ultimately, you can sort of do that and then kind of dissect it and say, oh, well, I've used a melodic minor here, or I've used this here or that there. But ultimately, it's just about using colourful tones. Edwin Toonan, sir, you are a gentleman. Thank you so much. I'm not even on the Heineken tonight. I'm on the Clarkson beer. Thank you so much, mate. Yeah, but the getting back to the phone thing, the Xperia 10 Mark II had a great front-facing selfie camera for doing videos of stuff. The only reason I didn't use it as a webcam was because I couldn't get it to show up on the PC as a webcam. There probably would have been a way of doing it, but the Mark IV, the front-facing camera, it looks great when you're filming, but then you pull the footage off and it's a bit grainy, and I just can't. It's just not a good source of footage, so that's why I haven't used it. I see we got Joe McCarthy in. How are you, Joe? I used to be a harmonic minor till I hit puberty. Yes, and yes, it is. It's a kebab tonight, GRB Aquatics. I will be going for the Marco's chicken kebab with salad and garlic mayo tonight, and then in the morning I will probably brush my teeth with garlic mayo flavoured toothpaste and drink a garlic mayo flavoured cup of coffee and have garlic mayo flavoured cornflakes or whatever. It's the thing with garlic; it does kind of hang around, doesn't it? So yeah, that's the culinary delights this evening, along with I suspect many more beers. So you off, David? Well, you look after yourself, mate, and just take care, mate. All the best. Terry, thank you so much, mate. 251 description. A 251, okay, is you can think of it. I'm not plugged in at the moment. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear this. But a 251. Let's get a pick that doesn't have kind of muck on it. There we go. 251. Let's say you want to get to an A chord or an A major seventh, like that. Hopefully you can hear that. All you do is you kind of go up 2 frets and do a minor or minor seventh, then go up from like there to there and play a 7th chord, and back to your 1 chord. So typical jazz kind of iteration of that will be like that. So you're looking at notes from that chord going to notes from that chord going to notes in that chord, and as I say, just think of chromatic ways of connecting those notes, and you're going to sound kind of jazzy, basically. Let's see what else we've got. Garlic bread. I see we've got a lot of Peter Kay references in there. And where are we? Yes. Cal B and the Rocco Cat saying, I keep shouting jazz at the guitar, but it won't listen. Yeah, it's an old bandmate of mine from many years ago. Once kind of came out with the best way of describing this. He says, jazz is not a spectator sport. That's probably the best way of putting it. It's a fun, challenging, and engaging form of music to play, but a lot of it is not what you would kind of want to be an observer of a lot of the time. And it is the art of playing wrong notes and getting away with it, essentially. Because what you're doing when you're playing jazz is you are, to make things sound jazzy, you are introducing tension. And the way to introduce tension is to play a note that doesn't belong there, and then kind of, before the listener kind of thinks, oh, that sounds wrong, you get to a note that should be there. And it's that sort of, oh, and then kind of, that sounds uncomfortable, and then that's better. That's really at the core of jazz, and to be honest with you, blues as well. So it took me a long time to get into jazz, and I got to tell you, I was my introduction to jazz was Brian Setzer, of all people. I didn't realize, because I was absolutely nuts about 50s rock and roll and rockabilly when I was a kid. And, the Stray Cats, fantastic. And Rock This Town, I can't tell you how many times I must have driven my parents mad by playing that single at kind of maximum volume on my Amstrad Music Centre back in the day. And then the follow-up single was Stray Cat Strut, and it just had this kind of spooky quality to it that I didn't know it was jazz. It is. And it was one of the solos that I did a very early analysis of on this channel. I think I did it for the Patreon people in the very early days when I was on Patreon. But that was kind of really my introduction to jazz. And I think it was because I didn't realize I was learning and listening to jazz, that I didn't have that sort of preconception of it being kind of middle-aged, boring kind of sort of old fart music, not to put too fine a point on it. Yes, I see we're getting a lot of Fast Show references here. Jazz singing is even worse. It can be. It can, but I mean, go and listen to Ella Fitzgerald. Where are we? Let's have a look. See what else we've got in the chat. I like jazzed up blues. Yeah, I mean, says John Mack. Yeah, me too. I mean, probably one of my favourite blues players has got to be Robin Ford, because what he does is he manages to make complex blues, but without it sounding like it always still sounds like blues when Robin does it. It never sounds like kind of egghead music. Phil is saying, love the jazz approach, just knowing how to do cadences between two chords. Thank you, Terry. The question mark rather than the exclamation point, indeed. Anyway, chaps, we're coming up to the end of proceedings for this evening, so I'm going to wind things up there, because, as I always say around about this time on a Friday, what goes in has got to come out. And yes, Mr. Clarkson, thank you. And I do need to go and get the kebab ordered and stuff. So once again, everyone, thank you for turning up and watching a fat, bald northern lad talk absolute knob for an hour. It's been a blast, and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. But for now, time, gentlemen, please.